on that one, the feedback that was given was like the recommendations were the same as the previous site, which doesn't make sense because like one of the sites on the affordable one doesn't. So it's not like the same feedback applies to both.
Today, we are actually going through some of the stage 3s, which are...
Just explain this 3 stages, very briefly, 10 seconds.
We have a stage system in which all of our deals go through. And right now, we're actually going through a lot of the deals that have made it to stage 3 and advising on final offers to the landowner or to the members to send out to the landowners. So hopefully, or we'll be offering on like 4 or 5 sites from the deals or from the reviews that we've got back from our senior planner. We're also looking to bring on an internal senior planner as well, which is looking good.
I am currently paying for 3 pre-app applications on 3 of our sites that we're ready to do our pre-apps on. It's always painful because how each council wants you to pay for a pre-app, it's never the same. Pre-app is pre-application advice with the council, so it's kind of like behind the curtain, nothing goes online, visible to anyone, and essentially you put forward a high-level view of your proposal to get initial feedback from the council on do they like it or not, and what the major constraints or objections would be, so that when you go in for a formal application, hopefully you can address those issues. Or if it's a particularly contentious site where you're not sure if it's going to get planning, you can do a pre-app first. It's obviously a lot cheaper, and if they're really, really negative, then you know the chances of getting planning are very, very slim. So it helps with kind of abortive costs on those sites that are kind of 50-50 on planning. I think on average, they're about kind of like 1,500 to 3,000. I know some in London boroughs are more expensive, and some councils sort of vary it depending on the number of units, but normally it's a couple of grand. The one I just paid was 1,560. This one is 1,433, and then things are moving.
David came back, said the land agent would prefer a promotion agreement on this site. Then we ran the numbers for the promotion agreement, and I believe it was 75-25 for a 5 unit. But I've offered 50-50 to David, and he's kind of agreed with that. In his head, he wants to just do it where it's 33% us, 33% him, 33% the people who are going to do the build out.
It's referred to as a third rule, and it just does not work, and it's the number one indicator. If someone says that, it screams they don't know what they're doing, because very few sites actually have a net profit of 33% for the developer. Like costs just proportionately, you know, it works, I don't know, probably like 30 years ago when nothing costs anything, but it just doesn't work now. On the promotion, did you structure it, we would agree a land value for his land sort of as it is?
I've mentioned 350k. That's kind of the value we've got because that's where I've run all the appraisals with. But also with the appraisal I have run, the house pricing is very conservative, just because he said, oh, you could easily get £2 million houses on there. I go, well, that's what every landowner's going to say, isn't it?
Yeah, and hey, hopefully it does, because great, we all get more money. But if the market takes a nosedive, the first portion of the market to get hit is that, you know, luxury end. So... But that's where a promotion agreement's perfect, because it's based on the residual land value in that moment. So that means we're basically, splitting £1 million each. Yeah, and 15 units actually doesn't work out better because you got the affordable. Is this like Greenbelt, remind me?
No, it says you just edge a settlement. The only real constraint was flood risk at the back, but that can be quite easily avoided.
After George caught me up on where the deal was so that we were aligned on the deal and the approach, we hopped on a call with the agent for the landowner to run through a proposed deal structure to hopefully move the deal forward. Yes, I can hear you.
I mean, being honest with you, we try and steer away from options, purely just because we always seem to have difficulty agreeing the price at the end. And I get that you guys you want to buy the land as well as possible, but I just think that the promotion agreement is a better fit for landowners. How are you funded, Rosie?
A couple of different lines, mainly, to be honest, by a high net worth individual. He 100% funds the projects. For me, is one, having 100% funding is obviously nice, but more importantly, the hoops you're jumping through, the due diligence, rather than working with the bank. I mean, on the Cambridge project at the minute, we've got crowd property. as the funders. And yeah, they're fine, but it's just, yeah, you've got enough plates spinning as a developer to then have to take on the full-time job of dealing with the bank. So privately funded and can get proof of funds if needed for a project, no problem. But yeah, like I said, I'd rather split the pie amongst a few people and have an easier job and an easier life than kind of take 100% myself and do it all is my philosophy when it comes to development. Whereas a promotion, if everything goes great, we pay the landowner more, great, because it's just proportionate to the, you know, to the outcome.
Technically, with a promotion agreement, we're taking it to the market, we're not selling it to you.
That was a call with George Wareham, who's one of our members, with the kind of like unofficially retained land agent for the site. We'd initially put an option over, and I think the landowner sent it to the agent, and the agent basically said a promotion agreement's better. And we went back and said, yeah, that's fine. We tend to go options because most landowners prefer that because it gives them a fixed price, whereas a promotion agreement, essentially it's related to the residual land value, which obviously can change up or down. But to be honest, promotion agreements actually work really well because what we end up paying is proportionate to that residual land value, which, like I say, is dictated by the market at the time. So we put a promotion agreement over. He said in theory he's happy with it. So he's just said, yeah, in theory, but send over kind of heads of terms.
Here's some good news. We've been trying to hire a senior land buyer for a long time to come and work at like the stage three onwards, negotiate with all the students and members to get deals across the line. And we found one called Lee, who is perfect. And after a few calls and then some negotiations, he has agreed, and just slowly, brick by brick, building the development team that we need to go and, you know, do 200 mil next year.
And after the good news, a very special guest graced us with his presence.
Are we filming? Are we rolling? We're at Build Up HQ right now. We call it the upper middle class epicenter of the company.
No, what did you describe it as when we're on the
High tax brackets.
Yeah.
Just come with me. Follow me. What we really want to get across here is I'm more than just a salesperson. I'm an entertainer. I am so useful for this business, and they could use me for anything. I could be... Watch this. You ready? I'm going to say hello. Ready? Watch this. Hello! Are you having a lovely day? Wonderful. And there we go. That's called punching social anxiety in the face.
When my parents are away, we house sit. And it's my favourite house in the world. So I become the house sit, and we have a lovely old time. And do loads of work, obviously.
Talking of work, or lack thereof it, something very important required our attention. I will emphasise that looking after the plants is Peter's only responsibility in the office.
I cannot recover. Yeah, you're dead, Riv. In a bit. They're absolutely parched. Sorry I abandoned you. Haven't been in the office because I've been in Spain. I'm trying to think of more valid reasons to why I haven't been here. Then it was really hot and we haven't got the aircon in our office yet. My favourite part of all. Because money will never leave me. Whether it's on a tree or it's in the bank account. You can't keep track of every fallen leaf.
Back in the office since we've been gone. The decorator and stuff has been in and painted our cupboard thing. Finally finishing some rooms. Yeah, it was meant to be a little bit taller. Got a habit of not taking all the measurements. I thought it'd be like this. It's fine. Just a note, if I do look like a sweaty mess, it's because it was 36 degrees and I had back-to-back calls all day in what honestly felt like a homemade sauna. Yeah, if you just say I won't be attending, but Anthony can on my behalf, that'll be fine. Personal, that can be filed into personal, if that makes sense. Nikki's my PA, just because the most effective thing with me is doing it with me. It's called body doubling. So like Nikki will, every day on Slack, she sends me like a list of tasks. But obviously when you're busy, meetings, whatever, it's sometimes hard to then jump straight into all your tasks. So the idea of the call with Nikki is basically she just goes through it live and I just tell her what to do, basically. But it's just a really effective way of, getting me to do work. I know George is a big AI person. A lot of people have like AI assistants and everything. He's like, why didn't you just use one of them? And I was like, because Nikki's perfect. Because if I had an in-person PA, they would annoy me too much because they're there all the time and have almost too much access to me. If it's, let's say I use, like Monday.com or one of these different versions, I'd ignore it. I'd ignore it completely, which is no good. Whereas Nikki, because she's virtual, if I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, I can just respectfully ignore the messages and just crack on with what I need to crack on with. But I can also just get on a call with her like that and say, do this, do that, do this. And she just does it. It was the first hire I ever made and it's the best thing I ever did.
We're going through the new software that we're looking to bring out within the community.
Have we named it?
I was literally just going through names.
Oh, okay.
No, the issue with the old system was, the biggest issue is because it was an outsourced company. Whenever we wanted to make improvements on the software, it would be quite difficult for technology and operations to sync up quite regularly and execute on the vision of what we had. And also as well, they were going to charge us quite a lot of money.
Fundamentally as well, when Nexus was built, I think it was Scott, not to blame Scott, that mainly did it whilst we were launching Build Up. I wasn't really involved. And I always think, because I'm like a bit of a boomer, there's like no point me getting involved in that. But we realised I needed to be involved because whilst I don't understand like the tech side of it, I understand what it needs to show, what it needs to see and how it needs to be used. So yeah, whilst Nexus in some ways might have been great from like a tech perspective, its functionality just...
Yeah. And our assessment process changed significantly on how we review the sites post Nexus being launched. So Nexus had, this is how we're going to review sites, but then...
At this point in the video, you might be losing interest. I can tell you that's exactly how I felt sitting next to George talking about processes, systems, optimization. Some of you guys may be into that. George certainly is, but I am not. As I continued breaking the Guinness World Record for staying in a sauna the longest, I jumped on a weekly members call, which is essentially a quickfire test of my development knowledge where the members are able to bring any questions that they have for me on any development related topic. One of the biggest things I would say, yes, volume is important. I'll always stress that. If you just send 10 letters, you'd be very lucky to get a deal. I hope you would get a deal, but you would be quite lucky. The most important thing when you're starting out and sending letters is you're sending them at a consistency and volume that you can manage, because it's, let's say you send out 100 letters, but you've not got much time to dedicate to this, and then you get 18 responses, of which 15 are interested in selling. You've then got 15 deals to appraise. And do you have the time capacity to do that, basically? So it's good to have a reasonable pot set aside, but I prefer you sent less consistently over time and able to manage the responses appropriately than fire out 500 letters in one go, costing a load of money, but then you can't keep up with the responses, if that makes sense. That was Q&A. I looked at a site for someone who was sort of asking about like what it meant that it was assessed positively under the SHLA. One member through her upcoming meeting with a landowner. I think she said next week she was meeting with the landowner. So just give her a bit of advice on that. Just all sorts, really. I've got everything done for the day. Yeah, it sounds bad when you say it like that, 'cause it's 7 o'clock. But yes, I got my whole to-do list done, which...
And for anything.
Is a very
There was
rare...
more beside the glass doors, towering high above.
Home time for me and the boy. Did you hear that I got my whole to-do list done?
What?
Can't remember last time I did that.
Well, it's 7 p.m.
Yeah, well, I felt good until Will said that.
Right, team, thank you all for coming. We are going to try and make this a quarterly thing.
brief snapshot of last month. So we did 90 onboarding meetings between Will and I, 40 member support one-to-ones. Great. And a lot of the feedback that we get as well is the feedback's great, but what does this mean?
Yeah.
Can I present an offer? What offer can I present?
As more deals come in, the more time Ross spends on calls. If anyone has any ideas about people we can bring in.
Can we set a minimum standard for that then? Like,
I have started looking at anything you want to share with the class? You done?
oh,
Got away outside.
sorry.
Me, George, whoever, we've all been sorting the current problem, but very aware that we're kind of pushing the problem down the line all the time. So trying to get just ahead of that. So Luke's 2 sites will be going into formal planning next month.
And I've spoken to people that said, well, I've been here 10 months and I've made no money, you know, and then I'll speak to Emma and she'll say, yeah, well, I had an accountability call with them last week, and they've sent 10 letters in 10 months, you know, and they expected that they'd send 1 letter and they'd make £5 million. You know, it's just not the way the industry works. So
On every boot camp, I literally say it is not that.
I mean, we've now bought in, obviously very recently, Michael and Lee. From a number checking point of view, that's important for us. That gives us another filter point. So at the earlier stages of the process, after stage 1, before stage 2, as George said, the numbers are going to be sense checked. What we need to do now is to get that working, get RevStacker in, get everything centralised. And I think from then on, it's a massive push for us to get as much as we can into planning.
At this point, we'd all been trapped in that meeting room for a good 5 hours, so the will to live was slowly leaving us all. But then came in Anthony with a much needed bombshell.
We're working currently, I would say, on serious deals at around 25 that may come to fruition. The uplift, when you take into account Addies and the others, is probably close to 50 million. We were on about 30 million. We've got another 10 or 11 sites coming through. We've got some pretty big promotion sites, but overall we're probably touching on 50 million. So we're looking at some of the longer term ones may take 4 years to come to fruition before we see a return, but the majority of them are 18 months.
When we did the bootcamp in May, it was quite wild for a lot of us who were there at the beginning to realise that we've been here for a year because it has flown. And what Anthony said is absolutely correct. The fact that we've done so much in chaos, without the right team, without any sort of system, just by pure will and talent, basically, is unbelievable. And the willingness to go out and do it. Yeah, and we feel incredibly proud, obviously, of what we built. It is incredibly special. When we started, we were an education business with a promise of development at the back end. Now we are a development business. It's gone through a transition and it will just grow on your side of the business because that's where it's going to have real longevity. The reason it is what it is because of all of you lot in the room. It'll be amazing to see what we're like a year from now.
4 years.
After a very long day with a huge amount of information to take in, it's amazing to be able to sit back, take a breath and appreciate the people that build up a reality. Without them, none of this would ever work. Days like this make us realise that we have the best team in the world.
It's much needed. I think one of the biggest downfalls internally is communication, and we're doing our best to remedy that. And it's really nice just meeting up with people that you don't get to see too often. Yeah, I think we'll make it a quarterly thing and solve bottlenecks and start putting out fires before they catch fire. Fingers crossed.
After Scott's very optimistic and energy-filled team talk, that wraps up the day. We'll see you in the next episode.